we are recording. Hey,
Okay, lovely.
we've started off great, Mary, because we are both smiling. So,
We end that way.
yeah, and so do I. Welcome, everyone. Wesley here from the Mental Awareness Foundation. It is a beautiful afternoon of Wednesday, and we at the Mental Awareness Foundation are all about promoting, I guess, a message of mental wellness. Also, just getting behind the people that support us as well. And today we've got the amazing Mary Williams. She's actually the CEO of the Belmont Hospital. And we are fortunate enough that the Belmont Hospital has come on board as a supporter of MAF and the Walk for Awareness. And actually, it's not people within the Belmont Hospital have actually supported MAF for a little while now. Fantastic. They had a great team there last year. But Mary's been grateful enough to give up some time. Just a little bit of about Mary. She's the CEO of the Belmont Hospital, and actually she's been in healthcare for 30 years. And one thing that I just found out, which I was reading in her bio, she was actually awarded a medal, an Australian medal. I'll get her to talk about it a little bit more. But in 2015 for her services in perinatal mental health. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Mary.
Thank you, Wes.
I had to ask, like 30 years. Yeah. It's a beautiful time. However, it is a long time. What are some of the changes that you've seen from when you started to now?
Okay, so it's effectively 40 years that I've been working in mental health, but it's probably it's 30 years in mental health. So I started off my career in general nursing, working in particularly in neurosurgery, intensive care, yes. And just real interest, in pursuing mental health. I think working with the relatives of patients who were unconscious or semi-conscious, I just realised I had an interest in supporting people going through difficult periods in their life. So I pursued a career in mental health. And I guess the changes that I've seen is that going back 30 years, patients in mental health facilities were more passive recipients of care. And going ahead 30 years, it's fantastic to see that our patients are consumers that are very heavily involved in their care. Yes. Their decision-making and their contributions are essential to outcomes, yes. That their relatives and carers are also involved. And I think that's a remarkable thing. We've come a long way with that. And I like to think that we can keep building on that over the next few decades.
Yeah, so I guess with the benefit of time, there's a lot more proactive with their mental health, all the services that hospitals offer.
More proactive, and I guess just reducing the stigma. Looking back 30 years ago, people really didn't have an understanding of what were the causes of mental health problems. There was some unfortunate movies and comments about people with mental health problems. And I guess now in the 21st century, people have a much greater understanding that anyone can suffer from a mental health disorder in their lifetime, or they know someone, or someone in their family who has one. So there's a great, much better understanding and acceptance of the fact that they're both for the grace of God goes anyone.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing. Actually, a question without notice. There was no internet around 40 years ago. So how would you cope back then? This technology, particularly in communication with what we're doing now compared to then, are there any standouts? Like, I'm assuming maybe communication was a little bit slower, but what was it post-internet?
Oh my God, I can't remember. I think it was lots more, there was lots more reading and going to libraries and searching out. I know when we first started up the perinatal unit here at Belmont, which is the only private facility that treats women with postnatal depression here in Queensland. And when we first started that up, that's going back almost 30 years ago, and the internet was just sort of, we did a lot of research via letters to facilities in the UK and phone calls. And, I often reflect, I think, what we do now, particularly what we're doing right at the moment on a Zoom meeting. It's just mind-boggling to think back as to how did we get this information? How did we connect? But we did it. Yeah. I know my kids can't imagine how we did it. But
we're a little off topic, but my mum the other day actually produced a letter, a handwritten letter I'd sent her when I was living in Scotland 20 years ago.
Yep.
And she just said to me, we just had a laugh because she's like, oh, this is how we used to communicate. And I'm like,
the old telegrams that we used to send through.
Yeah, telegram. Yeah, absolutely. So, hey, thank you for sharing that. And it's good to hear that. Obviously, we do a lot of work to break down stigma even to this day. But to hear that, obviously, that you've seen a change from 30 years ago to now, at least we're heading in the right direction. So that's thank you for sharing that. Listen, I want to just say thank you for Belmont for being a valued partner with NAF. Listen, COVID, it's an interesting time. Like, so how has the Belmont Private Hospital been working during this time?
Look, when it first, I guess, back in March, when everyone, throughout Australia started to realise that we really had to get serious about, closing our borders and looking after each other. Yes, we did go through a sharp learning curve to flatten the curve. We introduced screening for all of our patients, visitors, staff coming through. We locked doors so we only had one point of entrance. There was a fair bit of anxiety, but I think it's a real credit to Belmont, to all the patients, to all our staff, how well everyone has handled it. And I know the use of the term "we're all in this together" has been almost beaten to death in social media, but we have all been in this together, and there is a real sense of collegiality. I know a lot of the patients have reported to staff that they feel very safe here because we're very clearly keeping an eye on who comes in. As I said, doing temperature checking. We are a mental health facility, so it's beholden to us to keep people informed and to allay anxiety. I mean, that's what we're here to do, is to help people with anxiety and depression and other mental health disorders. So naturally, I think we're using our skills to allay anxiety with everyone.
Yeah, it seems like the community has accepted the change for now, or embraced it, or gotten on board. And, as you mentioned, yes, we are in all this together, and we have heard that quite a few times. But I think people are taking it serious, and it's good to hear that, people are respecting that and whatnot. Coming back to the Belmont Hospital, it offers mental health, but what is it particular? Give us more information about the particulars of the Belmont Private Hospital.
Okay, so Belmont is a 150-bed mental health facility, and it has a number of 79 acute adult mental health beds. We've got an older persons unit, which takes people from 65 and over who have mental health problems. We have a 10-bed perinatal unit, as I mentioned before, for mums and babes, mothers with postnatal depression or perinatal depression. We have a trauma and dissociation unit, which is a 12-bed working unit treating people with complex trauma and dissociative identity disorder. We have got a secure unit, 6-bed secure unit for people who are feeling, they need that extra security, taking people under the Mental Health Act who need to be in that unit. We have a very active biological neurostimulation treatment suite that delivers electroconvulsive therapy and transmagnetic stimulation as well, which are very well researched and evidenced biological treatments for depression. And we have a very active Belmont therapy program. So we have a number of day programs and busy inpatient groups, from cognitive behaviour therapy, dialectical behaviour therapy, acceptance commitment therapy, etc. So we see around 400 day patients attending group programs, which is fantastic. It means we can treat people once they leave an inpatient care, they can come back for ongoing therapy, for relapse prevention. And of course, a number of people who don't require inpatient care can access the day programs. So it's a busy hospital, it's eclectic. And as I said, for a private health facility, it has a number of specialist units.
Yeah, no, and thank you. I think you've shared a lot of the researchers and facilities there. I guess, is there quite a good community? There's a lot of resources and services, and it sounds like, you're creating a community within a community. Is that what exists at Belmont?
Look, I think that's very true. It is a community, and it has You're welcome to come and look around the place. It's a fairly big hospital, 150 beds, but it's got sometimes people describe it as having a small country hospital feel about it. It's set in beautiful bush setting. There's lots of ground. It's the least restrictive environment, so there's lots and lots of open doors, which has been a pain in the neck through COVID, which is why we've had to lock them all because there's so many entry exits. We also have a cafe on site. We have a gym. Yoga, Tai Chi, lots of exercise programs, art therapy. So it is like a little community. There's a lot to do here. There are some robust treatment programs, but there's also lots of diversional activities, and it's a happy community. That may seem a strange thing to say about a mental health hospital, but it is a very happy community.
Yeah, and that probably, it starts with the culture that you've got there. So, well done for having that happy community, and that comes back to culture. I have to ask, being in bushland, is there plenty of scrub turkeys?
Scrub turkeys and koalas. We've got a couple of local koalas and occasionally a couple of pythons that keep us on our toes. It is a beautiful.
I'm not afraid of many things, but snakes are the ones that give me the shivers.
We should run a snake phobia program. That might be an idea.
Now, Walk for Awareness. Last year we were blessed. The Belmont Hospital actually had a large team, and we do say thank you to us. But I guess what does it mean for the Belmont Hospital to support Walk for Awareness? Why do you feel that it's important that Belmont gets behind our walk?
Well, I think, we're always trying to raise awareness of mental health issues in the community, and that's a great way to do it. It was fantastic that last year a number of our day patients joined in as well. And we're going to, keep encouraging that as the years go by. It's terrific to be part of that whole, wider view of mental health from people who have gone through mental health problems themselves, people who are working in treatment programs and hospitals and clinics, consumers, people who have lost loved ones through suicide, which is, the elephant in the room. But it's fantastic to think that all of those people who are affected by mental health issues, by, as I said, being consumers or people working with people or relatives, that they can come together in such a dynamic and friendly and focused way to raise awareness. So it's very, very important to us to be involved and to keep on being involved. Plus, it's about getting out fresh air and doing exercise, which, as we know, is important to your mental health. So,
100%. Was there any highlights that the team, mentioned? Was it maybe Tudor and I being on stage doing our dancing thing, or?
You two were amazing. Yes, you were fantastic. There was some great music played. People being interviewed. I thought it was a brilliant setting, and certainly I loved the fact there were somber moments, there were commemorative moments, but there was also lots of humour. And I loved the way everyone at the end, everyone sort of raised their hands in the air, and there was just a sense of solidarity, and it was sort of goosebump stuff, really, just before the walk. Yeah.
No, and thank you. I'm actually getting goosebumps now because I do remember those moments that you're talking about, and it every year has been great, but last year there's definitely a beautiful energy there, and I totally agree. And we were allowed to hug back then, so the free hug was amazing. Mary,
coffee was great too. Just mentioned.
Oh, thank you. I wasn't behind that one. Mental health. What is your personal mental health checklist?
Okay, I guess I try to keep a work-life balance, which I think is very, very important. And we all, I guess, when you work in these sort of jobs, you give a nod to that. But I really do try to have a switch off from work. I believe strongly in connectivity. I think for everyone, keeping connected, staying connected is essential to maintaining good mental health. Your family and friends. Exercise obviously is very important to me, but I think the most important thing for my mental health checklist is keeping a sense of humour about things. My mantra is I'm not stupid and I'm not important. in terms of when it comes to this job, I can work something out if it seems overwhelming, and just knowing that anyone is replaceable at any point.
Yeah.
So not getting too caught up in, taking yourself too seriously.
And thank you. I think humour is definitely one of those things that we need to bring in to all aspects, even sort of what we're going through even now. And I can confirm that we are 1.5 metres away from each other as within the screen. But thank you. I think the humour is super important, and really just smiling and kindness. So I think they're good to add to the checklist. What's been in your role? Has there been some standout lessons, that you've learned, and that could be from what we deem values or successes, but what have been some of the lessons that you've learned from your role within mental health?
For my role as the CEO role?
Yeah, CEO role. It's an important role, and even just in life too.
I think lessons I've learned to stay calm, always stay calm. As was mentioned before, keep a sense of humour, that you're as good as your team around you. So ensuring that, keeping communication going with your team. I find that you can pull everyone along with you and keep everyone working if they understand what it is you're doing and you communicate the rationale for it. People get uncomfortable if they can't see the purpose of what they're doing. So keeping communication open, ensuring that our patients get the best possible clinical care that we can deliver, and never forgetting that they are the main reason we are here, that they're the focus of what we do. Yeah. And someone said one day, I heard them saying to a patient, I'll get to it in a minute, I'm busy. And as I said to that patient is your busy. Yeah. They are. So I guess in terms of lessons learned, it's a main lesson I've learned is how privileged I am to work in this area. It's being able to help people, being able to walk the journey with people, see people get better, it's, without being Pollyanna, not everyone does get better. Some people live a lifetime with their mental illness, so it is a privilege to walk that journey with them and learn ways to assist them. And with research and evidence-based practice, we know that we're always heading in a more positive direction to learn new ways to help people.
It's amazing how much, positive energy we get from serving others.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
Last year, actually, one of the main themes was taking time for your mental health. You mentioned humour is obviously something you bring in for your mental health, but how do you take time for your own mental health? What does that look like for you?
Well, I guess I mentioned before, exercise. I love going to the gym, which has come to a abrupt end.
We're all in the same boat.
My gym is fantastic. They delivered a spin cycle to our house for my husband and I.
Oh, recently, wow.
Which is amazingly generous. So I sit on the back deck listening to the birds and spin cycle, and it's actually been very pleasant. As I said, staying connected with family and friends. I've got a number of kids and a few grandkids, staying connected with them. Look, we are physically distanced at the moment, but maintaining that social connectivity through, I've discovered that house app, house party app.
House party, yes. Oh, well done. Yep.
Well, we had 3 birthdays in the time of COVID, and we've mastered the house party app and having, a celebration while everyone's in their own home. So that's been really important. And I think to anyone who's out there at the moment, people often when they are depressed and anxious tend to be a bit isolated anyway. So this must be a very, very difficult time for them. So, I think it's learning ways to stay connected through social media is important. Yeah. What else for myself? I guess I love reading. I always take time out to read. Netflix has had a bit of a hammering lately. I'd like to say I can do all sorts of arts and crafts. I haven't got an art and crafty bone in my body. I'm hopeless at things like that. But I love gardening. My garden has never looked more beautiful, and yet there's no one around to see it except my husband. It's just staying connected with things that are fun and relaxing. Keep it simple. I think sometimes, and it'd be interesting to see what comes out of this lockdown situation, that people start to reconnect with the very basics of life and what is simple and and pure happiness and joy you can get out of putting together a meal that you've done from scratch, and then the herbs that I've just planted growing, and that's sometimes all you need to get a sense of goodwill, good feeling. So,
yeah. It's amazing the wiser we get, how much we enjoy sort of getting out into a little bit more. And if you could ever see my place, I've got lots of plants coming into my house now, and it's and just grow actually. Over the last month, been sort of giving it love and seeing this plant grow. It's been quite nice.
Absolutely. But I think the plants have liked their owners being at home with them. They seem to, everyone's talking about the fact that their plants are growing. So maybe even plants need that connectivity.
Yeah, 100%. Now, last year, the Belmont had an art exhibition at West Carindale to support mental health. How did it go, and what inspired it?
I think it was fantastic. We've got a very robust art program here, and our art therapists have done some amazing work with our patients over the years. We've always had an art program here at Belmont. We've always had an art display in Mental Health Week in the hospital. But about 2 years ago, we approached Westfield Carindale. They've got a lovely display area there on the second floor, and asked them if they'd be interested in displaying our patients' art so we could share their incredible talent, plus raise awareness for mental health. And they very generously allowed us to do that. And then we did it again last year. And look, come along this year to see it, Wes. It is fantastic. We have some amazingly talented people here. And we buy some of the art off them. We have some of the art displayed throughout the hospital. Plus the art is some of the artwork is for sale to the general public. And we have some incredibly talented people. I'm in awe of them because, as I said before, I don't have that talent.
I was going to ask, have you got a piece up or a piece to bid on, perhaps? But I can't cut straight either, so my art talent's not that.
Well, our therapists say that anyone can draw, and they encourage. I think it's been an amazing thing for a lot of patients who say that they don't have any artistic talent to actually realise that with some encouragement and instruction, they actually can produce amazing pieces. And look, it's another medium for expressing emotions.
Yes.
Not everyone can talk, not everyone can write, but art is, something that everyone can do. It may not be, anything I could do would not be saleable, but it still is a medium for expressing emotion, and it is quite amazing to see what is produced. So.
I actually took Mum for Christmas 2 years ago to Cork and Coma. Have you ever heard of that? You get a Cork and Coma at South Bank.
Oh yeah.
And you get a picture. And anyway, we had who was it? Billy Idol. You had to, you had a sketch, you had to draw, and just spending that time with the paintbrush, because I think the last time I did a paintbrush was when I was a kid, but it just brought back so many memories. But it was one of those scenarios where like the 2 hours just went like that. It's amazing when you sort of get into art, how quickly time can pass.
Absolutely, and it's one of the most popular diversion therapies here. As well as therapy, we have a music therapist, and that's also very popular. That's another talent I don't have. Well, I think I do, but no one knows I have. So.
You've got a talent of humour, Mary. So we'll stick with it. Yeah, my guitar isn't that great, Mary. I guess just to finish up, if there's a message that you could get out to people, what would that be? Or if you could make people a bit more aware of something, what would that be?
Look, are you more aware of mental health issues?
Yeah, mental health, or just even from your experience of life.
Look, I think the message is look out for each other. Don't be afraid to ask people the question. And I think we talk about, and that's been the theme for Mental Health Week for a few years, is the elephant in the room. People are scared to put their hand up and ask for help. People are scared to ask others if they need help. My message would be shout it from the rooftop. If something is wrong, talk about it, seek help. We are living in the 21st century. We are so fortunate to have so many facilities that do offer mental health help now. So access it. Don't be afraid of it. Break down the stigma. Rip down the stigma. mental health is for everyone. Mental health illnesses need to be addressed. It's interesting that because people can't see, I guess, mental illness, it's not wrapped in a bandage or, symptoms like a fever. People, for some reason, just struggle to understand that someone can feel so very low or so very tormented. It needs to be discussed. It needs to be, questions need to be asked of family and friends. So I think people need to get talking and seek out around them those who do need the assistance and seek out help that can be offered to them. So I think about it's communication and it's about, connection. So.
No, and thank you. And it's so true. And I hope, this video, however many people watch it, it just encourages one person to reach out, ask for help, or it encourages someone to reach out to a friend and ask them if they need any help. And it comes back to that kindness and community and out for each other, taking the time to think of others, and then also think of yourself too, and be honest with yourself and say, hey, I do need help. But don't be afraid that it is normal to ask. And don't have that judging voice going off inside that you can't do this, you can't do it, because you can, and we can encourage us. Beautiful, Mary. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this interview. It's been fantastic, and from the bottom of our heart, the Mental Awareness Foundation and the community, thank you for supporting us. It's obviously it's an interesting year, but we are so grateful to have Belmont on board, and the walk. And how that walk looks this year, we're not too sure, but it will be happening no matter what. But we're just so thankful to have you on board and your team and your community. So thank you very much.
You're most welcome, Wes. I'm looking forward to it. I hope it does happen this year. I don't think social distancing would work for that walk, but nevertheless, it hopefully we'll be over this and can do it. And next time I will wear Band-Aids on the back of my feet because but it wasn't arduous.
I'll bring something for you.
Well, thanks, Wes. It's lovely talking to you. So.
I appreciate it, Mary, and keep up the great work, and and we will we'll see you in October.
Okay, lovely. Thanks, Wes.
Thanks, Mary.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.